Yes, it's alive!
Yes. Hello. Good evening, everybody out there in H&L land. Of course, good morning, good afternoon, whenever you might be tuning in. Oh, yes, Hip and Lip, a New York sports podcast. And New York sports carries a pretty negative tone today, as we are going to get to everything. Oh, my God. How about those Rangers? Look. But so much going on.
How about those Jets? How about those Giants? How about those Yankees? How about those Mets? So much going on, so much to do, and all the trimming. Yes, I'm stealing your opening thunder.
So much time, so little to do. Oh, wait, reverse that, scratch that. Willy Wonka reference. But yes, I think what everybody's most excited about is the fact that the JFK assassination files, the remaining secret files, are going to be released this week. Well, I know one listener that's severely uptucking because of that. I'm sure you are as well, Mr. Hip. And besides that, what else do you have to say?
Hey, we ran a 5K this weekend. Look forward to recapping that, of course, as well. Yes. We survived, barely. And didn't shower for the remainder of the day, and we're out at a bar watching the Yankees and the Machine game simultaneously on side screens. And look, it was the elimination game for the Yankees. Let's get right to it.
Good thing we had a lot of BH. We had a lot of bitter hipster beers to numb the pain of that hideous Game 7.
Well, look, the Yankees put up one run in Game 6 and 7 combined, so no matter how good your pitching is going to be, the offense just couldn't break through. They had some chances, and they squandered them. And, the better team is going to the World Series.
Better team, but not by a ton. I mean,
not by a ton. Yes, agreed. The Astros just from start to finish, from a season perspective, better team. But yes, the Yankees closed the gap far more than anybody could have expected. So hats off to a great year. But let's get to the games. I mean, look, Game 6 was a nail biter. So
it's obviously 7-1 final, quite the nail biter.
I for the first 6 innings, it was extremely intense. And to the top of the 7th. Look, Frazier missed a home run by about 2 feet to tie it. It doesn't get much closer than that. But what killed me was Gary Sanchez's check swing with 2 on.
Oh, hideous.
And 2 out on a 3-0 count. I've never seen. Have you ever seen a hitter in any circumstance? Let alone be a potential World Series clinching game for your team. Check swing on a 3-0 count. I don't think I've ever seen that happen. No, ever.
And that's that's something that you're taught also, obviously, as a major, especially as a major league hitter. When you get the green light, 3-0, you have to either see dead red and you're letting it rip. And if you miss it, so be it. But if you're not sure, then you just lay off the pitch. If it's a strike, if the pitcher makes a good pitch and he hits the corner or something and you take the pitch, fine, it's a strike. The fact that he had that check swing, half swing on 3-0 that just, weakly grounds out to the shortstop. I mean, that was killer. It was 2 outs, but 2 men on. The game was still in reach at that point. But for me, it was the 7th inning. I mean, Severino lost it in the 5th inning. Walking Gaddis, Bregman, and Springer, who had done nothing in this series, 2 of which were on 4-pitch walks, couldn't locate his fastball, and then gets killed by a hanging slider to Altuve that made it 3-0. And if you thought that the game was still in reach in the 7th inning, then they get the first 2 batters on in that inning with nobody out. Hicks loses a 10-pitch battle, strikes out against Verlander, and then Frazier hit the ball, as you mentioned, hit the ball to the wall that I thought was out. As soon as I saw the ball off the bat, I said, "Oh my God, that's out, tie game." And even Frazier afterwards said he thought the ball was out too, but the ball just
back
died
at the track at the wall. We are not tied.
We are not tied at the wall. And it's a catch to take all the wind out of the Yankees' sails, and that's what it did. Yeah, the inning. That was with the second out, but the inning would end after the next guy got out. I guess it was Headley, who probably just meekly grounded out to second base. As every single one of at bats, I think in Game 6 and 7, Headley was either a strikeout or a weak ground out to second. So that was it. The Yankees were done after that, and the other 4 runs were window dressing. But how about Brian McCann killing and we'll get to Game 7, of course, but. Brian McCann gets the first hit, and then Altuve, who rediscovered his swing in Game 6 and 7, of course, gets the 2-run single. And I mean, that's really all she wrote. The Yankees, I think the Yankee approach coming into this game, we talked about having to be aggressive, and they were definitely more aggressive against Verlander early on. Yep. I don't know what you thought, but I said, you know what? And the game started on an auspicious note. So first, Gardner gets a base hit. And, you're like, all right, start off the game with a hit. Maybe they finally figured out Verlander, how to approach him. And then Judge hits the ball on the nose, hits the ball as hard as you can hit it, just hits it right at Correa, who makes a really good play to start a double play. And that really, to me, I think the Yankees just kind of said, oh, my God, are you kidding me? Our first man gets on, and then Judge hits the ball right on the nose and hits it right at the shortstop for a double play. If that's not going to be prophetic as to how the game is going to go. And I think the Yankees were just psyched out after that. I thought they really were just kind of defeated in their own minds, especially knowing that they had Game 7 in their back pocket. And they really, again, I mean, there was a couple threats, again, we talked about, but nothing really to make you think that they were going to break through against Verlander. I mean, Verlander was unhittable in this game, and Frazier hit the ball, but I mean, Verlander, hey, another fantastic game for him. And going that this might be one of those postseasons where a couple of years ago it was Baumgartner. You can always Beckett had it against the Yankees and for the Red Sox a few years later, and this might be the year of Verlander. So we'll see what he does in the World Series. But not and then of course we move on to game number 7, unless you have any other thoughts of game number 6, but
not really. I got him in first and got him in right away at the beginning. Proceed.
All right.
Yep. Next.
And good thing, like I said, for game 7, good thing it's good thing we had several Bitter Hipster beers going into game number 7. Otherwise, who the hell knows how painful that would have been watching it. At least the Bitter Hipster beers numb the pain, but. I mean, we had the Michigan game on the TV right next to it at the place that we were at, and that was just as hideous a game if you were a Michigan fan. Ugh. But, I mean, the 7th game, I thought it was a bad omen. Gardner getting blown away by Charlie Morton in the first at bat of the game. As soon as it gets blown away on 3 pitches, just sit. It was just an emphatic sit down by Morton, and I was like, you know what, this is a bad omen. And the game just never went right for the Yankees. Obviously, again, kept it close, if you want to call it close, early on, but CC Sabathia had nothing in the game. We talked about how amazing CC had been, not just in the postseason, but throughout the entire season. 10-0 after Yankee losses, and CC just didn't have anything in this game. His fastball, he couldn't locate it to save his life. His breaking stuff wasn't breaking. His cut fastball was hanging out over the plate. The only place I would really second guess Girardi is whether or not he should have had CC come out for the 4th inning. I think, honestly, after 3 innings of not giving up any runs, and you could say this is a second guess, because what if he gets through the 4th inning unscathed, which is fine. But I was thinking at this point, hey, I don't think CC has anything at all, and I think it would be prudent, even if he's giving it, he's willing it and he's giving you everything he has, but maybe this is a good spot for Sonny Gray. Had pitched really well in game 4. Obviously would have been on 3 days rest, as Ace's ace, Lance McCullers were. We'll get to him. But I thought if there was any point for a second guess for Joe Girardi, it would have been there. He leaves Sabathia in. He lets a few runners on. Gives up the home run first to Gaddis, and then a few runners on. They bring in Conley. Conley gets out of it, and then, of course, Conley gets hit in the 5th. But I don't know what you thought about CC there early on. For me, he didn't have anything at all, and I thought Joe could have and maybe should have gotten him out of the game. I don't know. What
kind of. I don't know.
It's nitpicking.
It could have went either way. Yes, it's a nitpick.
It's debatable.
I mean, I'm not saying you can't bring it up. I was kind of middle ground. I didn't feel really strongly one way or another about it. Yes, I did. I remember you and I were watching this, and all the fastballs were up, and we're like, this is not the CC that we've seen in some previous starts. And
no, not even close.
Well, the problem was not that, though. I mean, really, they just couldn't look, obviously, they couldn't muster up any offense. So at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, we could debate that nitpick all we want, but it's pretty much moot when they can't even score a run. So just couldn't break through. I'm surprised, Look, Charlie Morton is this, a guy that's found himself at 33 years old, decides to start throwing hard, And
you can do that. You can actually decide to start throwing hard. Oh, maybe I'll decide.
Look at his career trajectory. Look at his fastball velocity over his career. And I think it was just beginning last year he started like throwing harder. He had a velocity uptick at like 32 years old. You know, he can't stay healthy for long stretches, but obviously they've seen enough in him to put him out there to start the game. And despite getting, you know, hit a bit in game 4, and then Lance McCullers comes back out. Game three for Morton.
Yeah, and I didn't think Morton was that bad in game 3, and I said this during our last show. And like I know a lot of people probably thinking, oh, Morton, okay, fine, Verlander got us in game 6, that's fine. Oh yeah, Morton now coming up, we're probably gonna ramsack him right away. And like I said, I mean, the way he blew away Gardner that first at bat, I just had a bad feeling. I said, you know what? I just have a bad feeling at this point. I think it was just a bad omen. And Morton was tremendous for the 5 innings. That really the top of the 5th inning. I mean, we talked about how Canley gave it up in the bottom of the 5th, and that was it basically. But I mean, the top of the 5th inning. I mean, that it was still 1-0, and first and third 1 out, and then Frazier comes to the plate after Castro strikes out, and Frazier with the infield in. He's got to get the ball out of the infield there. He does a terrible job, Frazier, with that at bat, but he bounces to third base. It goes right to who's playing third base at that point? Is that Gonzalez playing third base for Houston?
Or Bregman.
Bregman. I'm sorry. That's right, Bregman. So the throw comes home with Bird at third base, who might be the worst base runner I've ever seen. I mean, after his base running gaffe earlier in the series, and then who apparently was never taught how to slide. So the ball is thrown low by Bregman. McCann makes a nice play to catch it, and he now has to retrieve, basically recompose himself to be able to get the tag on Bird, and Bird slides right into him. And I'm like, Bird, you see the play, and I'm like, oh my God, Bird, you just slid right into the tag. Slide away from the plate.
Oh my.
He slides away, but maybe he's safe. I'm not saying he's definitely safe, but I think if he slides the right way there, he gets in there, and maybe it's a different game. Maybe not, but it's now 1-1. Maybe the inning, continues. The inning does continue. Maybe they tack on another run. Who knows? But that was a huge play in the game. I mean, you can argue that was the turning point when he gets thrown out, and then Headley, of course, on the next batter grounds out meekly to second base. Like I said, every at bat was either a strikeout or a weak ground out to second, and that was it. The game was then blown open basically in the 5th inning. Canley gives it up. Brian McCann, who did nothing all series, nothing, literally nothing. Game 6, the doubled. To start the scoring for Houston, and then this game has the killer 2-run 2-out double, and that basically sealed it, at least for me. And the Yankees really never threatened again. 8th inning, they had the leadoff guy on. Headley has a terrible 3-pitch strikeout again. He had a miserable last 2 games. Judge strikes out, end of inning, and basically the Yankees go down. To paraphrase Dylan Thomas, the Yankees go down gently into that good night. Even though Dylan said, don't go down gently, that's exactly what the Yankees did. And how about the ace, Lance McCullers, 24 straight curveballs. So 5 innings from Morton, 5 tremendous innings from him, 4 tremendous innings from McCullers, 24 straight curveballs to end the game, and 11 combined strikeouts. Yankees offense game 6 and 7, 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position. Like you said, you could talk about the pitching, Girardi's moves, whatever. Canley and Robertson not getting it done in game 6 and 7 after, doing a tremendous job, the both of them. Yankee bullpen finally showed chinks in the armor. Bottom line is Yankees left their bats in New York, even though they had packed for L.A., left their bats in New York, and that was the story.
Hey, it's a good run, and, it's easy to leave on a sour note, but, because they had 2 cracks at the at continuing their play into October, but late October. But hey, it was a good run, and the future is bright. So I gotta wear shades for the New York Yankees.
It is bright, but I'm going to take a different perspective here, and I understand that the narrative after this was, oh, look at what an amazing run! Look how much fun this was. Nobody expected them to be here. The future's so bright. They're young talent, yada yada, and that's all true. And I'm not saying that you can't be optimistic if you're a Yankee fan. And going forward, that's the storyline now. Going forward, what are they going to look like next season? And obviously, the Yankees, we know what their resources are, and we know that their mantra has always been, World Series or bust. And that the Yankee management, despite them talking about getting in under the luxury tax, that they are going to do everything they can to ensure that they have a potential World Series team fielded out there. And again, there's a lot of reason to be optimistic, but here's what I'm going to say. The Yankees were there. They were a game away from the World Series. And you know what? You just never know when you're going to be back here. You have every reason to expect that they will be back here, whether it's next year, maybe it'll be like the 90s, maybe. But you just don't know if and when you're going to get back here. Case in point, the 2015 New York Mets. Think about everything that was said about that Mets team after the World Series. Yeah, they lost, but look at their pitching staff, and the future is so bright. They're young pitching and blah, blah, blah. And look at where they are now. Look at where the Mets are now. And you want to say it's not the best analogy because the Mets were, their success was predicated on pitching. The Yankees is more the position players.
Different offense.
True, absolutely. And it's not the best analogy, but we heard the same thing with that Mets team. I'll give you another example. The New York Islanders. In 1975, the New York Islanders beat the Rangers. Then their third year in existence in the first round. And what an amazing upset. They go on to then trail the Pittsburgh Penguins in the second round, 3-0. They come back to win the series. They then, against the eventual Stanley Cup champion Philadelphia Flyers, 3-0. Again, they get down. They come back to tie, losing Game 7. I can guarantee, and I wasn't alive, but I can guarantee that everything said about that Islander team was, oh my God, this team, they add this and their future, and they just have to do this. They're going to be Stanley Cup champs before you know it. You know how many years it took them? And I know that they had their dynasty and they won the 4 cups, but you know how many years it took them? 76, 77, 78, 79. The team came up short every single year, and everybody was wondering, what do they have to do? Eventually, it was a man named Butch Gordon. Butchie Goring that they brought in at the trade deadline 1980. They took off. They won their 4 cups. But you never know. And this Yankee team had a chance, and you know what? They blow it. They blow it. And that's all there is to it. Yes, we're going to look at in retrospect that this was an amazing run. It was a ton of fun, and it was. But they were there. They were on the precipice, and they failed. So it's the season. To call the season a failure, is that fair? Yes and no. It is in the fact that they were a game away and they didn't do it. It's not obviously in the fact that their expectations, hipster doctrine was applied and their expectations was so low. Maybe you didn't feel that way. Maybe you have the complete opposite perspective of me. But that's how I looked at their inability to get to the World Series and play the Dodgers, which would have been pretty awesome.
Yeah. It's different with the Yankees. They have the most championships of any franchise.
Oh, absolutely, and of course, and the team differently. Yeah, we grew up in the mid '90s seeing this team win. It seemed like every year, and then finally they didn't. In 2001,
I look at the Yankees differently than every other franchise in sports. Basically, maybe the Patriots are. I don't know. It's football. It's a different animal. But the Yankees are the winningest franchise in sports history, and so they'll be back. I think if there's a team that
I absolutely look. They have a lot of good young players. They have more in the pipeline, but you can't also just expect that they're going to continue to improve. You make that mistake with young players all the time. Look, you have a ton of reason to be optimistic, and you know what? I would absolutely bet that this team is going to be back in the next year, 2, whatever, but. It's still a missed opportunity, and this really could have been the icing on the cake to play the Dodgers. Even if they lose the World Series, you say, you know what, they got there. And the fact that they were able to play the Dodgers, which I haven't seen. You heard as a fan like me that knows about the history of the Yankees and Dodgers and how just awesome, like the whole idea of these two teams playing again in the World Series. So, I guess maybe that's where my disappointment stems, is that they could have, this could have been a incredible World Series, but like you said,
well,
they're the Yankees.
It still will be, because game 2 is featuring a starting pitcher that is 37 years old, Mr. Rich Hill. That's what I'm looking forward to.
And I just learned, actually, and this is credit to my coworker who's a Dodger fan and sometimes listener. Rich Hill used to be in the Independent League. It's the same league as the Long Island Ducks.
Yep.
Only a few years ago. I had no
right
idea.
Right before he came back into the league and he went to the Red Sox, I believe. It was 2 years ago.
Yeah,
and then,
it was only a few years ago. Oh my God! Talk about a guy,
dude,
a reclamation project.
It's a ridiculous. Rich Hill. I think he came up in the Cubs.
Yeah, I remember he was on the Cubs.
Was a highly touted prospect and just could never put it together. Always had control problems. Then tried to become a reliever. Then independent league. Then came to Boston 2 years ago, I believe, and had this dominant October. And basically, it's just a matter of throwing curveballs. Rich Hill doesn't top 85, 86 miles an hour on his fastball, but he's hard to hit because he has a ridiculous 12-6 curveball. It's what it's going to be a true test for these Astro hitters having to face Kershaw's curveball and then Rich Hill's curveball. So
I mean,
they're going to be put to the complete test offensively. With the different curveballs they have to face in games 1 and 2.
And Dallas Keuchel has a pretty good curveball himself, so we're going to see some damn good curveballs from those pitchers, indeed. And I had no idea. I mean, that is talk about a pitcher reinventing himself. We talked about CeCe, but I mean, I guess so. Yeah, Rich Hill for Game 2, and it's going to be you for Game 3 for the Dodgers. I guess Game 3 and 4 is up in the air for Houston. We'll find out. I'm sure Ace is Ace and Morton, whether it's I'm sure it'll be 1 and 3, 1 and 4, but obviously it'll be the Keuchel, and then of course the amazing Justin Verlander in Game 2. It should be a good World Series. I mean, it'll be fun. If you're into it, it should be a competitive series, and we'll see if it can match last year. But the Yankees were there; they were right there, and they blew it.
Rich Hill, attended the University of Michigan. I did not know that.
How about that? I'm sure he was very upset at the results on Saturday nights. Yeah. Oh boy! Apparently, because I guess to try and take my mind off the anger that I was feeling for the Yankees, I was just going off on Jim Harbaugh for Michigan's failures this year. I mean, really throughout his tenure, but especially this year after getting embarrassed by Penn State on Saturday night. Oof. Oh well. What are you gonna do?
I mean, it was actually 21-14 at halftime and 28-14 going into the fourth quarter. So, the end. The finals they got embarrassed, but they actually stayed in the game for most of the game.
It wasn't Michigan. You don't get brownie points for staying in the game. I mean, I understand. Okay, so maybe they were.
Do you know how many players Michigan lost in the draft last year?
Yeah, but he always has a top recruiting class. Harbaugh every year. Oh, top 5 recruiting.
Well, based on who? Is that fair to Jim Harbaugh that? You hold it against them.
$1 million a year. Too bad.
Yeah, but you hold it against the team if outside people claim that he has a top draft class and then he can't be in a top 5. He can't be a top 5 team every year.
Hey, look, Jim Harbaugh is a tremendous coach. Okay, I mean, look what the 49ers. Look at their descent after he left. So I'm not taking anything away from him as a coach. He is a tremendous coach, but he's got to take some blame here. It is absolutely fair to criticize Jim Harbaugh for the job that he's done, at least this year with this team. I mean, hey, look, last year they lost a tough game to Ohio State. What are you going to do? But he was brought in to beat Ohio State. That's why they brought him in. You're going to win a national championship and beat Ohio State. He hasn't done it. And this year, I mean, you expected them to be a top 10.
So what is it about? So what has he done that has fallen short on your expectations for the team?
They have 3 losses. Is that enough?
I'm not saying I disagree, but
look, they lost their quarterback. I mean, they follow up more closer than me, but they lost their quarterback, which hurts. O'Korn stinks. Look at his numbers. He's terrible. So hey, look, I'm not going to tell you that they haven't fallen on some hard luck and they have a tough schedule. It's not not an easy conference, but come on, they've. You expected a lot more as a Michigan alum. Then you expect a lot more from Jim. I would have thought so.
No, they lost 9 or 10 guys to the draft. It was an insane number, and I think people just get they. It's easy to look forward and not backwards about who
Michigan State's not exactly a juggernaut. I know Michigan State. This is not exactly a vintage Michigan State team. that they lost to. I mean, look, Penn State's right now. You have no reason not to predict Alabama, Penn State as your national championship. I mean, that's what it's looking like right now. But we'll see how the season unfolds. The rest of the season unfolds and see what they do. Maybe they pull off a shocker and beat Ohio State at this point. I'm sure they'll be underdogs even at home. Not that Ohio State's been so great, but well,
they gotta play Wisconsin first. Wisconsin and Ohio State are both top 10 teams.
Yeah, and how is it that and so Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State, they're all in the same division, right? And Michigan State in there too?
I believe so.
So how did that formulate itself? So Wisconsin's by themselves basically, and then like the four powerhouses are all together. I don't know how that's
pretty lopsided. Yeah. Shape your face. All right. Hey, how about some professional football? So where do we go first? I mean, W gas, flip a coin.
Which offense was worse, the Yankees or Giants? Oh God.
Yeah. Eli Manning was sitting on like 40.
You are excruciating Jets.
Yeah. Oh, the Jets are just torturing its fans right now. It's just brutal. With these last couple of games, that just the Giants fans, you're like, whatever, we suck. We're 1-5 already. Oh well, if we lose, no big deal. And they just, I think Eli was sitting on 50 yards passing after 3 quarters. It was just so unheard of.
I mean, the Giants. If we're just gonna like kind of intertwine the two of them here, I mean, you look at
sure.
I mean the Giants set back professional football like to the days of Newt Rockne. I mean, they basically their game plan on offense, like where they just discovered the forward pass. Their game plan on offense was, hey defense. Well, their game plan for the against Seattle was, hey defense, would you mind shutting out Seattle for us, please? Just can you do that? There were 2 shutouts earlier today. Can you just shut them out for us? I
mean,
please?
This is like the Ravens and the Bears are like these teams offensively as well. Although
177 yards of total offense. Their offense was an abomination on Sunday. And I don't want to hear about injuries. I don't want to hear about the wide receivers. For them to play offense the way they did, just running the ball on first and second down and then throwing a little 5-yard pass to a wide receiver, to a tight end, and hoping that you can convert. And if we don't, we'll just tell our defense again, no points. Don't let the other team score any points, even though we're going to give them the ball for 40 minutes or 35, excuse me. Their offense was an absolute abomination. Their defense did everything that they could to keep them in the game, especially in the first half when they were on the field, it seemed like, for the whole damn first half.
Yep.
And they just ran out of gas in the second half. You can break down the game, but really, what are we talking about here? It was 24-7 final. The game was completely. With 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, they were down by. I guess they were down by 10 points after the touchdown.
That should have been an interception. Eli Manning fumble. Oh God.
Yeah. So missed the field goal.
This is such a joke.
And the offensive line is still terrible. Brett Jones gets abused on that play. They missed the field goal. Eli then with the fumble. In comes Seattle with a flea flicker, like a very odd-looking flea flicker. And Paul Richardson gets behind the defense, but good play by Collins to make up the ground. And I thought he had a better opportunity to knock the ball down, but it was the ball was placed perfectly for Richardson, but Collins still makes a play on it. And I thought ripped the ball away from Richardson before he comes down. He swears by it. The Giants swear by it. The NFL, of course, Tony Corrente, the same staff that took away the Jets touchdown last week. No, they were wrestling on the ground, so by that point it didn't matter. Well, if you watch the replay, you can, I think, pretty clearly see that Collins is ripping the ball away from Richardson before he comes to the ground. So considering that we still have no idea, and of course the NFL has no idea, what it means for the process of a catch, what the process is in the end zone, it's like you just throw your hands up and you're like, you know what? They just change it from week to week. I guess it's just like whatever they're feeling at that point. Whatever they're.
This wasn't a season changing type of play. I mean, that's how you let it go.
I mean, they probably lose the game anyway. I mean, they were done scoring. The only reason they scored a touchdown anyway was because the defense set them up after the fumble recovery by Collins, and it took.
But hey, at least they scored, unlike 3 other teams on Sunday.
Yeah, well, like I said, they were 3 shutouts. So defense, come on, shut them out for us, and then make sure.
What a ridiculous day! What a ridiculous day of football. Just a lot of awful offense.
How about the Jets?
I think there were like 6 teams that failed to score a touchdown. It was just ridiculous.
Well, I mean, if the NFL right now has a terrible product, but how about the Jets though? I mean, 28-14 lead, and I mean they really did redefine what it means. What same old Jets? They really redefine what that means. It seems like every other week. It's unbelievable how they just discover all these new ways to lose games. And how about the fact that Jay Cutler, who was hideous in the game before he got injured, he gets hit, breaks his rib or something, comes out of the game. Here comes Matt Moore, and I'm sure every Jet fan was saying, you know what, this is not good. Matt Moore just has a way of coming into games that the starting quarterback for Miami gets hurt in and just pulling him out of the fire and winning the game for Miami late. And that's exactly what happened. Absolutely unbelievable. Jets give up the lead, and then of course the just gut-wrenching interception by Josh McCown, who remembers that he's Josh McCown. I mean, if there was any, look at his numbers and look, he's a competent quarterback, Josh McCown. He is. He knows how to man the position, but he reminds you time and time again, whether it's in the Pats game last week, whether it's yesterday, that he is Josh McCown by throwing a hideous interception. But you know what? Blame the Jets there. Not because they were aggressive. They have 3 timeouts. There's under a minute to go. There's less than a minute to go. Fine, but they have 3 timeouts. All they need is a field goal. It's okay to be aggressive there. I actually like the decision to be aggressive, but you don't start off with a throw like that. Give him a safe throw, a screen pass, a dump off, even a draw play, something like that. Do not have him throw the ball to the sideline when everybody on the planet and their mother knows that's exactly what he's going to be looking to do. And it's the easiest of easy interceptions. And as a Jet fan, you probably just immediately palmed the forehead when you saw that. And then, of course, Robbie Anderson rubbed salt in the wound by throwing his helmet because why did he even do that? Because he didn't get the ball thrown to him. What a putz.
Did you like his touchdown celebration? Did you see that?
Well, we'll get. I have a few thoughts on celebrations too.
But did you see Robbie Anderson's?
Did he go in the stands or something and sit in a seat? What did he do?
and he sat in the seat and he stretched his legs and folded them his feet over one over the other. That was hilarious.
It's hilarious.
It was hilarious.
We're laughing at these idiots. We're not laughing with them. We're laughing at them. At least I am. These celebrations.
I don't know. I was just laughing. I just kind of saw it in shock. I'm like, did he really just sit in the chair in the front row of the end zone?
It's just all like for shock.
Well, shame on Miami for having that seat available for him to jump into it in the front row. What the hell? How do you let that happen? In that intense divisional matchup.
I mean, the place is always at least a quarter Jet fans, if not more. Yeah. In these celebrations.
Well, this is all, these losses are all for naught because now Sam Darnold reportedly isn't going to even enter the draft. We'll see how much weight that statement carries.
I'll hold off. At least I'll hold off.
Reportedly,
judgment on that until we get to the end of the season. He's in, he's not, he's in, he's considering. And what's funny is that sucked for Sam.
Sounds like the story of the lip sex life. Yes. He's considering. Okay.
That was a good one there, buddy. What's funny is that it's turned from sucks for Sam to just Sam sucks because Sam apparently has not been playing so well for USC. But
yeah, no.
But
how about I saw you made a note here. I saw it's hilarious. Mitch Trubisky 7 attempted passes in the entire game that they win, and Carolina can only put up 3 points. Pretty unbelievable game there as well.
I mean, talk about the Giants setting back, professional football a century. I mean, how about Mitchell Trubisky 7 and John Fox is. What's funny is that you always hear about coaches trying to shield young quarterbacks and not make mistakes, but they're still going to throw the ball, around 20 times a game. The fact that John Fox said to Mitchell, "Yeah, you're not going to throw the ball at all. You're literally just not going to throw the ball. Don't throw the ball." So that way we ensure that you're not going to make a mistake that'll kill us. And the only reason that he even had 100 yards passing is because Tariq Cohen, then that 70-yard reception, wasn't that just like a little dump off that he took 70 yards?
No, it was not. It was not a dump off, actually. It was a legitimate 50-yard in the air throw.
All right. Okay. I assumed it was a dump off. Okay, so
how dare you with a how dare you with a quarterback that makes 7 attempts that you assume that 70-yard completion is a dump off.
Yes, shame on me for
short-sighted of you. Yes. Yeah, and how about Foggate last night?
Yeah.
Hey, what do you think about watching the game from that angle, from behind the running back? I actually liked it.
Yeah, well,
because you could see the receiver, like, running his route. I mean, you couldn't see the entire width of the field, but you could see some of the receivers, like, running their route kind of from the quarterback's point of view, which you never get to see. So I kind of like that.
No, it was interesting. I mean, at that point, I was so bored. The game was so awful. I was just kind of like in and out. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. Look at this angle. Look how. But no, you're right. I mean, if you like watching the receivers and seeing them get off there, in their routes, and it's it's an interesting angle.
It's hard. It was harder to gauge. It different perspective though. Seeing like the yardage gained on the plays.
Yeah, because you're used to seeing them. Run left and right as opposed to like running away from you, and now you're like, how many? Yeah, where did you just cross over? Where?
Reality is, it's a more realistic perspective from up and down versus left and right, obviously. So it's just interesting. No, maybe they'll toy with it again. I don't know. They didn't have a choice last night, but
so we have to make sure everybody can see through the fog, through the pea soup that was permeating Gillette Field yesterday. Mm-hmm. But actually, at least it blocked us from having to watch that game, since the game was so hideous. The much-anticipated rematch of the Super Bowl. Oh my God!
It just seems like Matt Ryan is just a little off on his throws in general. He cannot. I mean, I don't understand it. Like,
that whole team is off.
No, it's but Matt Ryan just can't. He can't put the ball where he did all last year. Like, every throw is just not. It's not there. I don't. It's kind of weird to see, actually.
Atlanta right now, that it's unbelievable. I mean, you look at the team and you say, like, this team is like primed and like ready to make another run this year. And just looking at some of their losses this year, at home to Buffalo, at home to Miami, they were basically non-competitive yesterday against it's just unbelievable.
Well, some of these. What about the game coming up on Sunday at MetLife Stadium against the New York Jets?
Yes, indeed. Oh my God, must-see TV right there. I mean, let's see if the Jets can complete the superfecta. Right now, the AFC East is 3-0 against the Falcons. The Jets are, let's see if they can make it 4.
The superfecta.
Yes, indeed.
The Jets are getting 4 points at home to open the opening line.
Yes. So I guess when we do our picks, we're going to have to decide, am I going to take the Jets getting the points at home against the amazing Atlanta Falcons?
Speaking of which, I mean, it's pretty much time right now.
Yeah. Well, before we do it, and we talked about the one of the underlying themes of the NFL this year, just how bad the play has been, and everybody's wondering like why the ratings are down, and everybody's attributing it to the nonsense with the national anthem and our moron president. But how about some of these scores from yesterday too? You talked about Trubisky's 7 attempts. That was one of the worst 17-3 games I've ever seen. How about other scores from yesterday? 27-0, 33-0, 21-0, 40-10. The Giants 24-7, which was a hideous game to watch. I mean, the NFL product right now. You want to know why the ratings are down and why nobody's going to games? Why attendance is down? Because the product is hideous. It's awful. I mean, the league we talked about last year, mediocre. Mediocre would be a major step up right now for the NFL. The league right now is a joke. It's a joke. I mean, you can't watch some of these games. It's like, why even bother tuning in? There's nothing even remotely exciting.
You didn't even include the nail-biting 12-9 overtime game.
Yes.
Tennessee at Cincinnati. Tennessee at Cleveland. The only field goals, 12-9. Oh, that was hideous as well to watch it.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
All right. So on the flip side, Buffalo hosting Tampa, that was a good game. That was a really good football.
And I pushed. I had Buffalo lay in the 3. I pushed. So I was completely dead wrong about the Giants.
And you didn't even mention New Orleans at Green Bay. Brett Hundley failing to top 100 yards start.
Yes, and I think somebody told me that I should have bid more money for him in our fantasy league. Did they not?
He did get a rushing touchdown.
Yes, he did. Ty Montgomery has been phased out, looks like, so I think I'm done.
Ooh. Yep.
At least I had Chris Thompson, though. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday didn't really produce too many down the stretch games, but it's gonna happen, I guess. But yeah, there shouldn't be that many lopsided games each week. There should any week. They shouldn't be that lopsided.
And at least, if your team is out of it, you say, all right, if you're a fan of the league and you watch exciting football, okay, well, I'll try and forget about how awful my team is. And if you're a Jet or Giant fan, you're singing the same song. Even though the Giants right now are definitely worse than the Jets, and the Giants, I think, everything about the Giants right now is should they play Davis Webb? And they asked McAdoo today, and McAdoo answered the question 17 different ways, and well, no, but no, maybe, but no, but maybe, but no. I mean, it was just like a.
They should play who?
Davis Webb over Eli. At some point, will Davis Webb see the field for the Giants over Eli, or should they trade Eli? Of course, that's still the.
Why isn't Geno Smith in the conversation?
Yes, well, I guess everybody says W guessed it, Geno. And let's see the kid, Davis Webb. Well, if the Giants are sucking for Sam or sucking for Josh or one of the Joshes, and who cares about Davis Webb? Now the Giants mercifully have their bye. They can lick their wounds and come back and then maybe lose to the 49ers, which would be the ultimate insult. So there you go.
All right, so let's take another crack at this. Really sucked last week for picks. Can we do any better?
1-1 for me.
There's 1, 2, 3 games under 3-point spread, with 2 more at 3 points. So it's 5 games that are projected to be.
And who knows how much these lines will move? But since we had to do,
they'll move.
But
they'll move. All right, I got it. Okay, so the Sunday night game, Pittsburgh at Detroit. Detroit coming off its bye week and a banged up Matthew Stafford, maybe regaining some health there at Ford Field. Golden Tate probably not playing. Kenny Golladay maybe coming back. And Stafford spread the wealth offense. They're getting 3 points at home. I think Detroit finds a way to win this game. Pittsburgh, all they're basically doing is riding Le'Veon Bell to death with 30 plus carries, and I think he had 35 carries last game and 30 the game before that. Detroit has a respectable defense. The passing offense for Pittsburgh is very inconsistent, especially Ben Roethlisberger on the road is historically much worse. Issues with off the field with Martavis Bryant. Did you see the story there? Basically replying to somebody on Twitter that he's better than his teammate. This is a public account that Martavis Bryant tweeted from right after the game. Pittsburgh has issues. I know they pulled it out. They broke away from a terrible Andy Dalton on last night, but I see Detroit. They're getting 3 points. They don't have to win this game, but I see Detroit winning at home on Sunday night.
You're right. I like that pick, actually. All right. See, nothing really jumps out at me. Like everything, it's either I don't want to touch it. All right, I'm gonna kind of cop out here a little bit. The 49ers are awful. They are terrible. I'm not anointing the Eagles like some have, but you know what? The Eagles are that much better than the 49ers right now. The Niners coming off of just a brutal, just demolishing. And the 49ers, for the most part, have been in games this year, but their defense is legitimately that bad, and I don't really see them scoring a ton in Philadelphia. The old west to east. Oh, my God, west to east. Competitive in this game. The line's 10.5. I can't see it fluctuating. even if it goes up a little bit and it's Philadelphia, laying 12 or 30, I still think they're going to win by 2 touchdowns at least, if not more. I just see this having blowout written all over it, like legit blowout. San Francisco, Beathard, the son of the former general manager, he I knew nothing about him, and I don't know, it doesn't look like the guy can really play at all. So they have nothing on defense. Their offense, it's been basically their running game, and Brian Hoyer actually was making some plays, but he also can throw some terrible picks, and that's why Beathard replaced him. I don't care who starts a quarterback, even if they go back to Hoyer. This is not going to be pretty for the 49ers. Give me Philadelphia laying the 10.5, 11, 12, whatever it goes up to, because I don't think it'll come down. And that's game number 1 for me.
Okay. I'm going to the Monday night game.
Ooh,
Denver at Kansas City. Kansas City getting 7.5 has scored 3 points in its last 2 games combined. Getting shut out in Los Angeles yesterday, and then scoring 3 points on the Giants, right?
Yep.
So here I am taking the Denver Broncos at Arrowhead Stadium. That the Chiefs have been beyond leaky on defense. And yes, I know it's Arrowhead and they're loud and this and that, but Denver's going to find a way to keep this game close. The defense is going to keep the offense somewhat in check, keep the game close. I don't think they win, but I see Denver rebounding a bit here on Monday night at Arrowhead.
Yeah, that's an interesting pick too. I don't disagree with that assessment. All right. So I'm going to go with I wanted to take Dallas Washington. That game will end up being around right now. It's Dallas favored, but I can see that game being a pick 'em. I know Washington's losing right now, so maybe Dallas maybe they would lay a few more points. Washington, if they were, I would be inclined to go with them. But right now they're only getting 1 point, so I'm not gonna touch that. I'm gonna go actually to Oakland Buffalo. And last week I took Buffalo at home. Now I'm gonna take the road team. Buffalo, as of now, favored by 2.5. I like Oakland is still very spotty on defense, but you know what? I think Oakland last week was a huge win, humongous win for that team this year. If they lose that game, who knows if their season spirals out of control. You want to say that their defense still leaves a lot to be desired. You're right. Their secondary at times is awful, but they still have a few playmakers on defense, and I think they're going to get after Ty God in this game. Could I see Buffalo putting up points? Yes, but I think Oakland's going to win this game. I just get the sense that they're kind of, last week is going to galvanize them a little bit. They're going to, get their heads on straight somewhat. I think they're going to put up a lot of points. I know I was praising Buffalo's defense last week, but then you saw Tampa Bay go out and score 27 points of their own. I think Oakland it'll be something similar. Maybe it's I'm not saying this is going to be a runaway for Oakland, but I think it'll be an Oakland win. I would maybe like around, let's say 27, about 27-20. How's that as a final?
Well, Amari Cooper, looked like a different human being on Thursday night.
Yeah, what possessed him?
Just doubling his yardage total on the season in week 7, and he's played every game. Just ridiculous turnaround. We'll see if he keeps that up. Marshawn Lynch was suspended 1 game for coming off the bench. I think he appealed it already. I don't know if that really. I mean, he had a good second week in the season, but he's really come back to earth.
That suspension.
His absence.
Also.
I don't.
He should have gotten more. Absolutely.
I don't see his suspension.
I don't even factor him in.
Much of an effect on this line.
No, I don't factor him in at all.
He hasn't shown much in the last few weeks.
Yeah, I don't even factor him in.
All right, well, there are your picks. There are your picks for week 8. Early in the week. In fact, week 7 is technically on our end here as we finish this episode still, I believe, going on. All right, hipster moment of Zenith. What do you got?
So, yes, HMOZ. Well, no Islanders or Rangers. And Islanders came away with a win on Saturday against San Jose. And the Rangers awful again tonight, losing to San Jose themselves tonight. The Rangers, oh, my God, are they in trouble. And there's going to be panic setting in at the Garden. Heads might roll very, very soon. They're not going to just sit pat and let this spiral out of control at the Garden. So, Ranger fans, it looks very bleak your band of misfits right now that are donning Ranger blue. And one word or words of advice for Doug Waite: Joshua Hosang should be in the lineup every day. Stop with this. How dare he try and be creative offensively? How dare, he has to learn to shoot the puck. I get it. But stop with this. How dare he not be, how dare he be creative offensively? He has to take a seat for that. Stop it. Stop. Don't be Capuano here, Doug Waite. I'm not convinced that you're a head coach in this league yet. You still have a lot to prove. You're wrong in the way that you're handling Hosang. Is it the end of the world he set him down the other night? No. If he doesn't listen to the coaching staff, if he's going to go off and do his own thing, and he's not going to learn how to be a team player, you have to instill that in him, absolutely. But do not put forth this, well, if he's being too creative offensively, we're going to sit him down, because that's not how we do things here. Stop with that. Understand that that he can be one of your, a big offensive player for this team, and also get through your head that Jason Chimera stinks. And Kuhlman has been terrible so far this year, so just rotate them. Anyway, moving on. Hipster moment of Zenith. Mickey Callaway introduced today as
oh yeah, there we go.
Manager of the Nye Mets. The Nye Mets, yes, Met fans. Probably you're all we're all saying to yourselves, who the hell is Mickey Callaway? And I was saying something similar. I was like, wait a minute, is that the pitching coach? Oh, for Cleveland, right? I think I heard that name before. So apparently Tito gave him his seal of approval, Tito Francona in Cleveland. Of course, very much a guy that you're going to take his word if he's giving you an endorsement for a potential manager. So I'm sure a big part as to why he got hired. So I actually listened to some of his press conference today. Did you hear any of this press conference today, Mr. Hip?
I have not.
You did not. Okay. So, typically a lot of them go the same in the introductory press conference. Oh, we want to do things the right way. Oh, I want to do things this way. We want to get everybody on the same page. I want to get the players the respect, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we get the drill. Usually. He had some interesting quotes today than Mr. Callaway. I'm going to read some of them. Now, they're not necessarily taken out of context, so you obviously have to fill in, the context for them, but there's some pretty interesting quotes. So here we go. We're going to care more about the players than anyone ever has before, and let them know that they're human beings and individuals. This is going to be a group that feels that every day they can come to the clubhouse, and that's going to be the main concern, is to show them that this game is difficult, and we're going to care about you as a player and a human being in your personal life, and I am going to love every one of them. Okay, are you all going to hug? Are you going to hug every player when they walk in and sing Kumbaya together in a circle? Is that the plan so far? He then went on to say, thanks for allowing me to say thanks. A lot of thanks going around, as he thanked everybody that he knows, including his dog, I think, for helping him get the managerial job. He then proceeded to talk about his expectations. So here we go, a few more quotes. We are not going to have expectations on numbers. I am going to have expectations that they will work to put up numbers, and if it happens, great. If not, I will be proud of them anyway. So you're saying that the team can lose and not put up any numbers, but as long as they're doing things and listening to your teachings and working hard, then you're proud and everything's great? Okay. We will become a team, and this is more Callaway quotes, we will become a team because of losses, mistakes, and rifts in the locker room. We will use those things to strengthen our bond as a team. So you're saying that Met fans should expect losses, mistakes, and locker room rifts. But it's okay because they're going to strengthen the bond, the Mets as a team. The bond as a team. I see. He then finished up with, this is one of the greatest franchises in the world. Really? Have you been living under a rock? Have you been living under a rock? Have you? And then he also got a few y'alls in there too, as he's a Memphis, Tennessee boy. I was just absolutely astounded by some of those quotes. I mean, if you're a Met fan, you're listening to that and you're hearing, I want to love all my players, and it's okay if they don't put up the numbers, because if they work hard, then hey, I'm proud of them. yeah, so I didn't realize that's what fans of any team should root for, is just, hey, it doesn't matter if they win or lose, as long as they're listening to their coaching staff. Everybody loves each other, and the bonds are strengthened because the team loses, makes mistakes, and has locker room riffs.
Hey, you know what? Okay, I appreciate you sharing that. It's different, and that's fine.
I should make fun.
And see what happens.
Yeah. You get what he's trying to do. Like, I understand, like, what he's trying to come across, what he's trying to get across with what he's saying, but it's like it's just, we're gonna love all of our players. We're all gonna hug and sit in a circle and sing Kumbaya. And it's okay if the team loses and makes mistakes and has locker room rifts, because as long as they're doing things the Mets way, that's all that matters. Well, they've been doing things the Mets way forever, and that's why they've never won. So if you're going to continue the tradition of losing, well, I'm sure Met fans should be very excited.
All right. Hey, so
all right.
You're kind of doing double duty here. Hipster beer of the week. I'm naming it, but you are describing the taste. The reason for this beer, it's Miles Marathon Session IPA. We mention it to tribute our effort on Saturday at the Brew Hop 5K on Randall's Island. We both participated in the race, and we don't need to say who finished ahead of the other because I'm not even entirely sure. Anyway, so Single Cut Beersmiths is located in Astoria, Queens, New York. I believe we've had a beer or two of theirs in the past on this show. Brewed a collaboration beer with Nike in honor of the New York City Marathon. And 4.2%. The idea
apparel Nike? Like that Nike? Like Nike, like shoes and
the apparel.
Yeah, I didn't realize that they were in that business. And right.
The idea was to have an ideal post-run beer, so something that is not high in content, high in bitterness, something that's unfiltered and refreshing. So, Miles Marathon Session IPA, which you have tried, so please.
Yes.
Tell us about the Miles Marathon Session IPA.
Indeed. Yeah, so Miles Session IPA, which we saw it, oh man, I really blew it with Jordan Reed this week. Oof. We saw it being consumed by an Australian fella that we were at the brewery, and this Australian fella was on his way to pick up his wife at JFK and made a stop at Single Cut. He was all the way down from all the way upstate. And it just looked like pure juice. Like it was like looking at a glass of orange juice, this beer. So I was actually very tempted to try it. I came home and I sampled it, and it is basically pure juice. It was definitely a very refreshing. If they were going for, low alcohol, not so much bitterness and the unfiltered, everybody loves a good unfiltered beer. Well, they definitely hit it with this beer. It is very much a very sweet, refreshing, extremely drinkable beer. So for those that don't like the BHBs because too much of the latter B, or first B, I should say, they will very much enjoy this beer because it is, basically like drinking a glass of orange juice. And it was very
forward to trying
very interesting beer, I will say. So
I think that's the lowest alcohol by volume for any session IPA I've ever seen. 4.2%. That's as low as it gets, but that's okay.
Yeah, right.
It's okay to change it up.
Indeed.
That's the show. Oh, yeah. There's a little pause there. What are you going to do? Oh, God. We made it. Yeah. I was hipping the lip once again.
I screwed up so bad with Jordan Reed today. Oh, my God.
Yeah, you would have lost anyway. It's okay. You still would have lost.
Would I have? I don't know.
You're still down like over 30. Does he have that much?
How many touchdowns did Zach Ertz have? Did he have like 5 touchdowns or something?
All right, but he still had 5 for 89 in a score. All right,
whatever. I probably would have lost.
Yeah, I'll do the math. All right. Yeah, rate us on iTunes. Remember, rate us on iTunes. All right.
Yes. Rate us indeed. All right, next. W guys.
All right.